that does not appear in the schedule set forth in subsection 1 will be assessed 3.
Okay, there it is.
So,
okay.
because I thought
got
what
you.
you're thinking is what I thought originally, and then I came back and read it and caught number 2.
I got it.
And I don't think that was ever the intent of the committee, and if someone can tell me otherwise, I'll.
Yeah, as I understand it, the new proposed language includes section 2 rather than just all the ones in subsection 1.
I got it.
And I don't know if that was your intent or not, but
It was not a recommendation or a discussion of the committee. I know the 6s, creating the 48 hours after 96 was a discussion, but to make 3s double on the second go-around was not part of the conversation at all at the committee level.
I see.
I'm very confident of that. So this language didn't come from the committee. I'm thinking that that there's an attempt here or something's coming from LCB as cleanup or something that might be causing some concern. But I'm not sure that this was anything that, if it was, and it was an oversight that we should have caught before probably. So.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Commissioner Morey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. If we changed to 12 on page 12 to 9 instead of the 12 points, it would address the situation of making the hunting and the fishing violations consistent along with the trapping. And then left what page is the 48-hour on 16? If we left that one at 6, that would allow the violations on page 12. If you got the 9 demerit points for trespassing, you could take the hunter safety course, knock that down to 5, and as long as you didn't commit that same violation in the first 5 years afterward, you would still have the opportunity to have screwed up twice without losing your license. That's kind of where my thoughts are.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts? Commissioner McBath?
I guess it's it's just a general comment, and I'm hoping, because I actually did take the hunter safety course, within the last 10 years, just voluntarily, with a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, and but we still talk. She's a great gal. Anyway, and sure, there's exes that I don't talk to too. So, but I don't recall in that hunter safety course. I do recall that there was training on no trespassing, but I don't think that hunter safety dived into the weeds of our of these trespassing statutes and really, got our hunters and our youth, up to speed on this very. It's pretty confusing, and public land, private land, the different ways to post and everything. I just don't remember that kind of detail in the hunter safety education that I got. And I think it's really important that we get that education out there. So I'm just going to make that comment, I really do feel that this is an important issue, and I very much do respect private property rights. I've got a brother that has a ranch, and so these are issues that we deal with, that he has dealt with, and it's disturbing to have, people disrespect private property. no more than you want somebody walking into your house. Do ranchers want, people trespassing on their private property? And so I think it's an issue that we, hopefully spend a little bit more time on. I'm leaving. In fact, I should have been gone. I shouldn't even be here today. But anyway, I'm here. You asked me to come back. I did. And so, but I hope that the future commission does take up that issue.
Commissioner Drew, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, there's a couple items. I guess, there's obviously some pretty significant changes going on today that didn't happen in the workshop yesterday. So I don't know if we want to consider that and kick it back out to the cabs with some changes or not, but just something to consider moving forward. As far as the trespass thing, I'd be more comfortable with 6. Personally, that's just where I'm at with it, given some of the gray area on this. On the 48-hour thing, I don't have a problem. I have a problem with eliminating some of the warden discretion. I would be more comfortable with it reading visit traps, snares, or similar devices rather than a trap, snare, or similar device, and making it that locked in. At least it gives them some ability to define what an event actually is. And then on Section 3, I really would advocate hard for no change to that, because I simply don't think that was the intent coming out of the committee, and how the language got in there. I don't know, but I know it wasn't clear to me until I read this for the 5th time, so maybe staying at the Holiday Inn did help me in some way, but I don't think the cabs really understand the ramifications of what Section 3 is saying, and I would advocate hard for no change, whether we vote on this today or send it back out.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Commissioner Lane?
I guess I'd like to see, since we've talked about numerous changes, either we're going to move forward, and I'd like to see a motion made that, so we've got something that we can actually take a look at, or are we going to do as Commissioner Drew is suggesting and send it back out? But, I think we just need to try to figure out, particularly on the hunting, on 503, 240, exactly what we're going to do, since we've heard 12, 9, and 6. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for.
Commissioner Bliss?
I'll try a motion if you're ready.
We're ready.
Move to approve Commission General Regulation 451 demerit points for trespass and trap visitation violations, LCB file number RO88-14, as presented today with the following changes. Hunting, fishing in non-navigable waters, or trapping on private property without permission, 503.2406 demerit points. Next section, failing to visit trap, snare, or similar device 48 or more hours after required period for visitation. That's 6. Scratching A out of that section. And then no change to Section 3. As far as, I want it left as it was before, not to accept the language.
Commissioner Bliss,
A second before we start discussion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Bliss, second by Commissioner McNinch. Now, Commissioner Wallace has a question.
on the failing to visit a trap, snare, or similar device, you said remove A. Did you change that to traps, snares, or similar devices?
Yes.
Did you make those plural? Okay, I didn't hear that
Traps,
part.
plural.
Yeah, I was going to make that clarification, and I would second with traps with
Yes.
S's, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
Okay. Commissioner Drew?
So I would move to amend the main motion that we make these changes today as recommended changes and send them back out to the county advisory boards for one more round of comment for approval at our September meeting.
I would second that.
We have an amended motion by Commissioner Drew, seconded by Commissioner Wallace. Any discussion on the amended motion? Okay, I'm going to call for a vote on the amended motion first. All those in favor of the amended motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, let's get a show of hands. Commissioner Young, McNish, Drew, Rob, Wallace, Lane, Bliss. All those opposed? Morai, Macbeth. So the amended motion passed, so we don't have to deal with the original motion.
The vote
That was
was
just-
specific to the amendment.
To the amendment. Okay, so now we have to deal with the motion. Okay, so any discussion on the motion now after the amendment, Commissioner Morai?
I guess with the motion, if I understand it right, the motion is changing the trapping and the fishing and not the hunting demerit point numbers. Is that correct? That's
Basically, bring fishing up.
I think it's basically, the net is bringing fishing from 3 to 6. That's what this, in equalizing it.
okay, and that's what I'm having a little trouble with supporting that motion. And I do like the part of the consistency that's based in that motion. However, from what I've seen from my standpoint is the trespassing for the purpose of hunting has been an issue. And if we leave that the same, that's sending the message, in my view, that everything is fine with that situation. And so I guess at this time, and I know we have to vote here in a second, but I'm still on the fence as to whether I'm going to support that or not.
Commissioner Drew?
With the adoption of the amendment, Commissioner Morai, and the fact that it's going back out to the county advisory boards, I mean, we could entertain sending 9 back out and seeing what kind of response we got and having some further discussion on it. I mean, basically with adopting that amendment, what today turned into is a second workshop. So if we wanted to go higher and see what the cabs have to say, so be it. Or if we go back with 6 and see if they come back with 9, I guess it's a matter of semantics, but it gives us a little bit of leeway to get some more input on it.
Commissioner Macbeth?
Does this mean I'm coming back in September? I mean, you know, I'm going back to the motion we just had, and the reason I voted no is because I wanted to take care of this right now. I want this done. And now what you're going to do is, if appointments get made after this, you're now going to be bringing this part of this motion back to new commissioners, and with all that's going to entail. And so that was the reason I voted no. I wanted it done. And so anyway, I just, you know, the whole reason you brought me back here today was for this consistency in dealing with these trapping issues, and so now we're pushing it back out to September. Now, very fortunately, it's in Las Vegas, so it's not near as big a deal for me, other than I may have been on a scouting trip otherwise. But I just want to throw that out.
Commissioner Bliss?
I just want to clarify something. I voted for that amendment as well because I agree with the direction that I wanted to go here, but I don't have a problem with the cabs looking at it again and making sure that we have everything right. And the main reason I wanted it why I voted for the amendment too, is maybe we can get some clarification on the number 3 section. So, and maybe I just don't understand this right, but there was a motion, then there was an amended motion. We approved the amended motion. Why do we have to go back to the original motion?
Commissioner McNish?
Yeah, we haven't voted in the original motion yet. So my suggestion might be that we vote down our motion, our original motion, which, help me out here, Dagnoon, it kind of invalidates the other one because we don't have anything to take back to the county boards at that point. Is that right?
Okay, one more time slow, because I'm a little...
Okay, so what I'm sensing is concerns that we might have, you know, that Jack and Mike might have to come back if we don't address the issue number 1. We still have to deal with our original motion,
the original motion, as I understand it, no longer exists. It's been amended to that original motion
Okay,
goes away.
understood, right,
You
okay.
now have an amended motion, which is the
You're right.
motion that Commissioner Drew made regarding sending it back to the cabs.
all
So
right.
that's the only motion on the floor to be
Okay.
decided.
So our original motion, Chad, I've been sleeping, I guess, includes now that we're going to send this back to the county cabs and have another meeting. So I guess my suggestion to the board would be that, in my mind, I'm thinking I will vote this down, even though I would vote it down so that we can readdress the concerns that have been brought up post-amendment. And maybe one of the things that we should consider is taking the hunting, fishing, and trapping in navigable waters or trapping on private property without permission out of any of our, a motion beyond that. Deal with the failing to visit traps and bring this item up as a separate item that we can send through the cabs and bring back as kind of a new issue that's, I'm just throwing out
Mr. Newton,
suggestions.
did you say we're done?
No.
No, what you've done is you have, there was an original motion, then there
Correct.
was a motion to amend that motion.
Yes.
That motion to amend was approved. You still have the motion itself to deal with, but it's not the original motion that needs to be voted on. It's the amended motion based on Commissioner Drew's amendment.
Okay.
That's what's currently on the floor. That has not been voted on yet.
Okay, I just needed to know who was on first again. 7-2.
For the-
More I
For
won't.
the amendment.
For the amendment.
For the amendment, to take it back to the county boards.
So the,
No.
so
No,
the original motion was what Commissioner Bliss laid out with going to 6 demerit points on the trespass, the changes to a trap versus trap snares or similar devices, and take section 3 or make no changes to section 3. That was the original motion. My amendment was to send this back, what he included in his motion, amend it to send it back to the county advisory boards and bring it back in September to this board. That was the 7-2 vote. So the amendment was approved 7-2 to bring it back out. We still have the main motion that has not been voted on. So the main motion has been amended, but we never had a vote on the main motion.
So what I intend to do is I intend to vote against the motion that's on the table now, the amended motion, and then have a better discussion with clear ground without these motions hanging over our heads. And if we end up with the same exact motion again, then that's fine. But that's my intent. And with that in mind, I would call for the question.
Okay, let's take the vote. All's in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wallace, Drew. All is opposed signify by saying nay. Bliss, Lang, Rob, McNitch, Macbeth, Morai, and Young. So,
Before we go to anything else, can I address something?
yeah, Commissioner Drew.
I just wanted to address Commissioner Macbeth's concern on who will be here in September. And there's 5 of us that have absolutely no idea where we're going to be on September 11th and 12th. So I'm comfortable with that uncertainty going back to the cabs, regardless if it's this group that's here or there's 5 new members here, because those members are being appointed to use their judgment on this issue. I don't necessarily see it as a disadvantage for some new eyes to be on this, given the complexities around some of it. So I'm comfortable sending it back to the cabs, whether we have 5 new representatives next time or whether we have the 5 representatives who are in limbo next time.
And where I'm at is, I think that Mike and I are here for a reason, and that's to get some stuff done. And as much as I respect Jeremy's opinion and his thought process, sometimes we don't agree. And I'd like to get this done today. And one of the biggest concerns I saw coming forward from the cabs was the loss of hunting privileges. And I think with taking it to 9, we've addressed that. From everything I've heard this weekend, for somebody to get a trespass violation, your property has to be spotlessly marked. Mr. Turnipseed, he said he investigated 8 this year and was only able to cite 1. It's pretty much an egregious act that you cite on. I mean, it has to be provable. And most of what the sky is falling that was portrayed to the county advisory boards and everything about losing your hunting privileges for a minor infraction, from what we've heard from testimony from the, law enforcement and what we've discussed this weekend, and looking at the way that 207-200-2 reads, those things aren't going to occur. And I'm comfortable with meeting the expectation of the county advisory boards and what they said. Don't let a guy lose his hunting license over 1 act. We're meeting that. 9 points sends a message that we don't have much tolerance for it at the same time. So I think we're doing a couple things with the same step. When it comes to the visitation, you know, they're getting a pass between 96 or the new regulation we have in the close proximity areas. They're getting a 48-hour pass. I don't see that as that big of a deal. You go beyond that, you should pay an extra consequence, just like we do if we catch too many fish above a certain threshold and too many birds above a certain threshold. I don't think this is unprecedented ground. I think it's places that we've gone to in other arenas. So I think that I'm comfortable going forward with where we're at and not sending it back to the county advisory boards, because I do think we've addressed a lot of what the county advisory boards had concern with. Anybody else? Anybody got a motion? Commissioner Morai?
I'll take a stab at a motion. Move to approve Commission General Regulation 451, LCB file number R088-14 with the following changes. Hunting, fishing in non-navigable waters or trapping on private property without permission, NRS number 503240 on page 12 to 9. And no change to section 3 on page 19.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. For conversation purposes, we have not, I wouldn't be supporting the motion as submitted, because failing to, on page 16, I would like the verbiage to read, failing to visit traps, snares, or similar devices. Strike out the A to make it plural. Commissioner Morai?
Would that be a friendly amendment?
That would be a friendly amendment.
I can accept that.
Okay, and then the other thing, on the last page, the doubling of demerit points in section 3, that was never the intent of the committee, and that's still in there, the way I understand it on your motion. No? Okay, you took that out. I'm sorry. So everybody understand now that I understand, does everybody else understand where we're at?
Go back to the A. Making it one event.
Yeah, it's one event. And Mr. Newton has a question.
The maker of the motion was okay with the friendly amendment, but you did not check with the second.
Second good with the friendly amendment?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, everybody know where we're at? I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Young, Morai, Macbeth, McNinch, Rob, Wallace, Lane, Bliss. All those opposed?
Nay.
Drew. So motion passed 8-1. Okay. Okay, that concludes agenda item number 18C. Let's take a 10-minute break, be back here at 10 minutes till. And thank you, Commissioner Morai, for hanging in there this morning.